To rent or to buy? With housing prices and interest rates so high, that is the question. It's definitely a situation. So get ready for the conversation right now.
Situations and conversations with Renee. Situations and conversations with Renee. Real situations, real conversations. Empowering the community leads to elevation. Entertainment and education, no better time than now.
Hey, welcome to Situations and Conversations. I am your host, Renee. Thank you so much for joining us today because we are about to have a very important conversation about the housing market situation and how to decide on what makes sense for you as far as renting versus owning. I know a lot of people are struggling with this question. So I have an expert here who will absolutely help you figure this out for yourselves. I am so happy to have with us Andre Broadous, realtor. Andre, before I get going, is it realtor or is it realtor? This is like something I've been struggling with forever.
It can go both ways. I hear it both ways all the time. I think it is realtor.
Realtor.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Well,
what I think, but it does go both ways.
Well, then you
I
are a
always
realtor.
say real estate agent.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
Okay.
But a little bit easier to say.
Well, how about real estate expert? You like that one?
Perfect. I love
Okay.
it.
Well,
Love it.
I like it too because I'm happy that you're here to speak to this because so many people with the housing market going up and down and all around, people are trying to figure out, should we buy or should we rent? So before you just jump on into answering that question, how you doing? You good?
I'm doing great.
Okay, I'm happy. Oh yes, I'm happy to have you here. I really am.
And I'm glad to be here.
So in your experience, everybody's talking about how things have changed. Have they really changed? And if so, what are the differences that you've seen in the last, I don't know, let's say 5, 10, or maybe even 20 years? I don't know how long you've been practicing.
Yeah. So I've been in real estate for 9 years. I started at 25, 34 now. And the market has changed over those 9 years. And depending on who you are, it's changed in a good way or it's changed in a bad way. I say that because 9 years ago, prices on the houses were a lot cheaper than they are now.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, 9 years ago, I had clients that at that time felt like the houses were overpriced. And those same houses now, a lot of them have doubled. And so it's kind of just one of those things where you kind of got to look at it as you're making a long-term investment. It's not something that you're just buying right now for the instant gratification. But usually, just based on the history of the market, not even just 60 years, 100 years, usually it does go back up. And you know, buying it 9 years ago, there has been some highs and some lows.
Right.
But right now, the market has changed. The biggest difference is the interest rates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to start talking about that right now? Because we
Sure.
could absolutely get into that.
Yeah.
I remember doing a refinance. I'm a homeowner. I remember refinancing not even that long ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and the interest rates were
Yeah.
perfection, right?
Good days.
Now, I'm like, who can afford this? I am so afraid that if I ever have to refi, that I'm not going to be able to make my payments.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So several things happened. The big thing that happened that nobody really predicted was the whole COVID situation. And it was weird because during that COVID era, that COVID time frame, the interest rates, a lot of people, when it first happened, nobody knew what was going to happen with the market. Okay. Everybody thought the market was going to crash, or they thought the prices of the houses were going to just skydive. But the government, they lowered the interest rates for homes. And so now the interest rates at that time were like 3%.
Yeah.
Some people were at 2.75.
I got the good.
Yeah.
I got a good
So we were at
2.8.
2.75. And so by them doing that, it made the market just go crazy. And so during that time, houses are getting multiple offers. Some people bidding $50K over list price. Some people taking the house as is instead of getting the inspection, which I don't recommend. Always get an inspection. You just never know unless you just got it like that.
I think inspection's good.
Yeah, but
you know what you're getting into.
Get an inspection, no matter how bad you want the house. But people were, wanting to capitalize on that low interest rate. Because at 2.75, that's the difference. So say you went to a lender and you got pre-approved, you wanted to buy a 400K house. Back then at the 2.75, you got approved for that. That same pre-approval now with today's interest rate is probably like 275, 300. So you could have got approved for 400K when the rates were at 3%. Now you're looking at 300K with the rates where they're at right now.
It's unbelievable. Like where we at? Like it's still just high. Like I refinanced my mother's home, and during this high time, because I had to, it was one of those situations where we needed money for her like memory care and everything, and that's expensive. So I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? We're gonna use we're gonna refi. Oh my God. I mean, if I didn't have to, I would not have done it.
Right.
But her interest rate, it's like, I don't know, 8 something, and I am dying right now looking at this new mortgage payment. It's insane. Do you think that the interest rates are ever going to go down? They may never get back down to that those 2s and 3s, but come on, can we get a good 4, 5, 6?
Man, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. And so I predict that within the next 2 years they will go down some. I don't think there's going to be a drastic change anytime soon. So there's a lot of people that are just waiting for the rates to go down before they buy a house. And you could be waiting another 2 years or another 3 years, or depending on how much you want the rates to go down.
Right.
And then it just comes to the point to where, okay, do I want to wait 5 years to hope that the rates get back down to 3%, or do I want to buy now? So that's kind of the question. And so I tell people, if you wait 5 years, and let's just say most people rent is higher than $1,500 a month, but let's just say you rent for $1,500 a month for 5 years, which is $1,500 is probably an apartment, 1 bed, 2 bedroom apartment.
About to say, where they getting that?
That's very low. But it's just an example. So for those $1,500 a month for 5 years, $90,000 that you spent in rent that you're never going to see again. And so it's almost like, well, I paid $90K to wait for the rates to go down, but that $90K was did the house? You could have had at least $40K in equity over those 5 years since you were waiting on the rates to go down.
So what are the pros of owning a home as opposed to renting? I mean, I heard at least one, you don't have any equity when you're renting.
Right. I think that's the biggest pro is when you're renting, you're never getting any equity where you live at. And like we said, you have to live somewhere. So I think the biggest pro is that every month you're making your mortgage payment, your loan is going down. So it's not going down a lot each month, but it is going down. So you're actually putting money in your own pockets. Another thing that's kind of slept on is the tax benefits. When you own a home versus when you rent, you don't get any tax benefits when you rent a home. But when you own a home, you get to write off property taxes, not all of them, and you get to write off your mortgage insurance. And then sometimes if you're doing renovations and things like that, depending on if you're flipping the house or if you're just doing remodels, you can write off some of those things too. Yeah.
I like a good write-off. That sounds excellent. But the problem is having enough money to get into a home. I mean, that's why a lot of people rent. They don't have that capital up front in order to put down that down payment. And I know that there's all sorts of programs and things like that, and maybe you can speak to some of that. But in the meantime, it's like, what are people supposed to do?
Yeah, it is tough, that down payment piece, but there are just some myths and some things that we probably can't clarify that may help some people out, is that you don't need 20%. A lot of people come to me like, I've had at least 30 buyers within the last 5 years that probably didn't think that they could buy, and then we sat down and have a conversation and they end up buying a house in a year or two, because they just have just bad information. And some of them think you need 20%. So 20% of just a $200,000 house is $40,000 you need. I'm like, no. Typically, for a first-time home buyer, you need about 3% to 3.5%, and that, that's still a lot based on the prices of houses now. But you can't save up $15K and get into a home. And then also they do have zero down loans that a lot of people don't know about. There's certain banks, I'd say On Point Community, they have a 0 down loan. There's different services that's available for down payment assistance that you can get into.
Man, it sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
And this is more of a conversation. So if you don't mind, will you stick around?
Of course.
And okay, good. Okay, you guys stick around too, because we're going to have more of an in-depth conversation around some of these programs, how you can actually get into a home if that's what you choose, and maybe even talk about the pros of renting. There might be some.
Yeah.
All right, so hang on.
Definitely.
More situations and conversations on the way. Hang on.
Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Oregon Health Authority, helping people in communities achieve optimum physical, mental, and social well-being.
All right, we're back with situations and conversations and with realtor Andre Broadous.
Yep.
Broadous. I'm sorry.
You
Okay.
got it right.
But I got the realtor right.
Yep.
The real estate expert. You're helping people figure out whether they should go the home ownership route or continue renting. It sounds like obviously home ownership has its benefits, but there are some barriers. And we were talking about programs, and behind the scenes in that little quick break, the team was like, you gotta ask, what do you have to do in order to find these programs? I hear about them all the time, housing program, helping you get in. How do you even find out about these things?
So a lot of people find out about them, which is not everybody, but a lot of them find out about it through word of mouth. They had a friend that bought a house and they got this program, or they got an aunt, cousin, whatever. But to be proactive, I think the best way to find out about them is going online. You have to go online now, or because a lot of times people aren't picking up the phone. So if you go online, I would say start with Portland, the Housing Bureau. So if you go to the Portland Housing Bureau website, they will have at least 7 or 8 different organizations that they give money to. So that's where all the money comes from, is from the Housing Bureau. So they may have $1 million that's available, and they'll give it to PCRI to give out to certain individuals that meet this criteria. And then they got the African American Alliance program that they give money to, and that's for it's not technically 100% for minorities, but it's focused on minorities. Or they have the Native American organizations, NAYA, where they focus more on the Native Americans. So there's different programs, but I would say start with going to the Portland Housing Bureau, figuring out which program or which organization best fits you. And then the next step is you have to go to these classes that they have. So there are requirements to get these grants that they're having. They're not just giving out $50K.
Right, you're not just about to call or hit the application button and just get a check in the mail.
Yeah, you got to put some legwork in, and that's the main thing. I tell people, just don't quit. Whatever you do, even if you feel like you're not getting the attention that you want to get from your counselor or whoever it is that you're talking to, don't quit. You got to keep going to these meetings. Keep calling them. I mean, it's a free $80,000 grant. You know,
right?
Stay on them.
That's what I'm saying. For that kind of money, I mean, come on. The least you can do is be diligent and keep calling, show up. If you have to, you know what they say, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? But you also have to make sure that you're doing your part.
Got to do your part.
And I came across these stats. Well, not me, my producer, Taylor. He's awesome. But he helped me get this stat right here. African American home ownership was only 44.1% at the close of 2020, while the rate of white home ownership, was 74.5%. I mean, is it just about money?
I think it's about money, and then just the history. So a lot of people, just with anything, you know, how you were raised, and then unfortunately, white people, they've had more opportunities. It's starting to close a little bit, but there's more white homeowners now. So a lot of times what happens is when that grandmother passes away, it gets passed down to their kids. And then for a lot of minority families, I have had some clients who their parents or grandparents never owned a home. So they're the first ones to own it. So they never were inherited any of these properties that a lot of white families have been over years. And so, like, one of my main goals is to try to close that gap, because there is a big gap there. And I think a lot of it is, one, like you said, money. If you look at income, white people make more money overall than minorities. So they have the money for the down payments. I was even talking about how the rates are so high. For some, people that have a lot of money, they don't really care about the interest rates because they're putting such a down payment down, a big down payment, or they're just paying all cash.
Woo.
So the market works to their advantage because they know that there's a lot of buyers that can't buy right now, but they have all cash, so they can just purchase that home. And so it just keeps going on and on and on and on. And that's how that gap was created. But now, since there are, Portland, and I can't speak for all other states and cities, Portland is starting to have more programs that do help, the less fortunate or minorities that can kind of help us bridge that gap some.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
we need it.
Because that stat was like staggering to me. I'm like, geez, that's a big gap.
Yeah.
And anything we can do to help close that. And like you said, that generational wealth that we want and need to create in our own communities can only happen if we're diligent about it.
Right.
And we know about it.
Yep.
That's the thing. It's the education piece.
That's the
and it
biggest thing.
feels like it's so daunting. Like it's like home ownership is so much easier to just go ahead and rent over here and pay this money, have somebody else fix everything. Because I heard that in the community a lot, right? Oh, but if I buy a home, I'm responsible for everything.
Right.
That's true.
It is true.
That's true. So like, what do you say to those people who are wrestling with that? Like, I may have enough money for the mortgage, but I don't have enough money if something breaks down, or if I need to fix this up over here, or God forbid you're in some kind of home, what do you call that? A homeowners association, and they coming by dinging you for every little patch of lawn that's a little bit brown, or the little paint that's coming on. I mean, these people walk around like this and they're serious. And they want you to fix it like right away. And what do you say to those people who may not have that?
So, I mean, if you don't have that, it just is what it is. But what I tell people before they buy the house, I tell them, look, you need to have some reserves just in case something does come up. And then I also tell people, don't buy a house that's at your max budget for that reason. So buy something like, say your max budget is $400,000. I say try to find something that's like $375 or something like that, so you can have a little extra cash for a rainy day or if something does come up. But even with that, a lot of people exaggerate that, like, I gotta fix this and that. A lot of times, if you do what we talked about earlier, a home inspection, a lot of that stuff can get called out, and you can negotiate some of these repairs before you get in the house. And don't be too desperate for the house that you're willing to take all these, things that need to be fixed just because you want the house so bad. So when you do your home inspection, if the inspector says, hey, the roof looks like it's about to fall in 2 years, then, talk to your realtor and try to negotiate with that seller, get them to pay for a new roof ahead of time, and you won't have to deal with some of these issues. But like I said, just don't be too desperate to where you just taking any old house, especially if you don't have the cash to do repairs or any fixes like that.
Well, it sounds to me like renting is for suckers.
And
I say that, I'm joking. I get that a lot of people are in renting situations. I'm not.
You can
Don't send me all them emails.
You can waste a lot of money renting.
But that's the thing. It's like if we want to get ahead financially and we want to provide for our families long term and we want to give them something. I know, a lot of us are on some, well, I can't take it with me, so I'm about to, spend it all. Yeah, but you are leaving people behind with not only like nothing, but then possibly even your debt. So let's get out of that mind frame, right? And want to further our communities and own some things instead of, paying somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
When you're renting,
that's really all you're doing is paying for somebody else's mortgage. And you may get a little bit more peace of mind knowing that if the heat goes out, you can call your landlord. Those are some of the benefits of renting. Or if you don't think that you're going to stay in this, wherever you are for a long period of time, I tell people that it's probably best that you rent.
Oh, man. Andre, thank you so much. This was a very informative conversation around a very real situation. And I think your expertise and your passion is going to help a lot of people.
Appreciate it. I love what I do, and I look forward to helping more homeowners and closing that gap.
Yeah, well, we're going to send some people your way.
Please do.
How about that?
Please do. I got them.
Give it up for Andre Broadous, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again for being here, and don't go away. We have more situations and conversations when we come back.
Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Oregon Health Authority, helping people and communities achieve optimum physical, mental, and social well-being.
Hi, my name is Nina and I'm the director of Stores of Adorn. We are a women's clothing boutique that specializes in having a diverse selection of brands, styles that fit all different body types. We are at our Lake Oswego location today. We are one of 3 stores and our 2 other stores in Portland. Thanks for coming in. We hope to see you at one of our 3 locations.
Conversations with Trey Renee. Situations and conversations with Trey Renee.
Hey, welcome back to Situations and Conversations with me, Trey Renee. It's now time for one of my favorite segments, Hey Trey, that's also me, where we discuss all these juicy topics that you actually bring us. And I think that it's great to bring it to the table and have a little conversation about it. Today, let's talk about the dating apps. Ooh. Here to discuss it all, I have one of my producers here with me. Tay Ford is here. And of course, back as usual, my girl, Donisha, is also with us. So hey, y'all, hey.
What's up? I'm glad I get to talk today. So
I know.
On the camera,
I'm happy that you're here. I mean, everybody here represents a little bit of a different segment of the dating population. I am single by definition, but I am not dating. I am in a committed relationship, very happy to be in it. But I don't know about y'all two. And I see a lot of swiping going on these apps.
Child, not on me. I ain't swiping nothing.
Oh, okay. So do tell. Are you not with the dating app situation?
So it's so weird. I'm so traditional. I think it's just the millennial in me a little bit. I still believe in finding somebody when you're out doing the things, right? Like, I still believe in, I met him at the gym, I met him at the store. I believe in that. And there's nothing against folks that do the app dating, right? Because as you know, I'm an event planner, so I've married couples that met online, right? So that is a thing. It happens.
So it can work.
It can work. Mm-hmm. For me, Donisha Von Sil, my partner, I've known since he was 12, 13 years old. So that's where my tradition comes from. But I know, like my daughter and other folks, it's just a casual thing for them. Like, this person, I never went to school with them. I don't know him, but they grew up in Vancouver, but that's my boyfriend.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. Like, I wasn't with the whole dating app thing, like Hinge, Tinder, or anything like that. In the last year or two, I have become more just acceptable towards it. I guess I could say.
So you're a swiper.
I'm not heavy, but no, I have been on it though. I ain't gonna lie, because it's just. Growing up in town, everybody knows everybody, so it gets to a point where the population pool, especially I only date black women, so
okay, that's cool. Your preference, all
it's my preference, but we don't have the biggest population pool here, and we grow up around everybody. Such and such a date, such and such. So I have to meet people who may not be in my close network all the time.
So you'll swipe and travel to date?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. I'm curious because
it might be somebody who moved here. As you know, people whether it be Intel, Nike, all these companies, they had people moving here, and surprisingly, Portland's starting to become a hotbed for millennials who are working in corporate America for whatever reason. So
So swiping works for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It works.
Isn't there a whole swiping culture?
I guess you could say.
Is it swipe right?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't be on there enough to even memorize it like that. And
sure.
But I would say I am still a little bit more traditional. When I can meet women, I do prefer it to be natural, whether it be at a club or a group setting, church.
You find love in the club, according to Usher. I'm just quoting people,
True.
My gosh, I can't. But it's true. I mean, but that's the thing. It's for me, if I were to be dating, I don't know that I would not want to be on an app. I think there's some pros to it, right? Some people write up their profiles, and if you know exactly what you want, which I advise anyone who is dating right now, have your list of exactly what you want. Yeah. My thing is, I've heard about people literally really traveling to meet people on these apps. And I feel that is so dangerous because aren't there a lot of con situations
Child,
going on?
let people in your home.
Catfishing and all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
up with that?
Catfishing is a real thing. And I think I have to be mindful because I do have friends, but
You have friends.
I have friends. But, I there's no secret. Black women a lot of us are single. You know, us meaning not me, but most are. And there is that thing where you're dating, and like Tay was saying, people travel, men are moving here for work or whatever the case may be, or just people in general. And so you have to be mindful of who you allow in your home and in your space, right? Because now I've dated you and you're here and we've met online, but I've gone on, 6, 7, 8 dates with you. Now you're coming to my home and, we're getting a little serious, but who are you really?
Okay, so I'm just curious because I think I just get so nervous that people aren't telling the truth. And misrepresenting themselves, right? So like that would be my biggest concern. It's like, okay, I want to see you right away. Like, okay, you like me, I swipe you. I'm probably not using the right terminology, but I swipe you, you swiped me, or whatever. We matched. And now it's like, okay, I don't want to sit up here and start talking to you via text or DMs, or I don't know if there's a special chat room, or I don't know, right? I don't want to get into all that because then I might start catching feelings. And then next thing you know, I see you, and it's like, that. What happened to what happened to all of this? What happened to all this stuff in the profile? I don't see any of that. This picture is from like 1993, and it's 2024, and you not looking the same.
Body looking a little different.
Man, a little.
Yeah.
I mean, or you just totally misrepresented yourself, right? Like everybody wants to be more than what they are, especially online. That really concerns me. It's like
filters,
not just that, but like just inflating, who knows, your job title or, massaging the data. It's
I'll say this, when it comes to like doing like traditional dating versus, social like dating apps, you can run into the same issue just meeting somebody out because people lie, they put on a front. Also, a lot of them, they're doing like these different verification methods where you gotta like face scan.
That's good.
And also link like you can link your social media to the actual app. So even after I swipe left, I can see like, okay, are the pictures lining up with like
that's good.
These pictures on your profile.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Wow.
But just be honest and put the things in there so that people can actually know what they're getting into before they start catching feelings. Because that's what happens. People catch feelings, and next thing you know, you caught up. Another Usher reference. Okay, all right. We're out of time. Dang, I could sit here. I love this segment, Hey Trey. If you guys have anything that you want to talk about for Hey Trey, hit us up. Everything's on the screen for you to get at us here at Situations and Conversations. Thank you so much for being here, y'all. Thank you so much for you all joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Love and appreciate you for that. God willing, we'll be back together again next week for another edition of Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee. Until we meet again, please take excellent care of yourselves. It's the only way you're going to be able to take care of anybody else. And remember, when you think me, think we. When you think you, think two. See ya.
Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Oregon Health Authority, helping people and communities achieve optimum physical, mental, and social well-being. And thanks to Tabiba Styles for hair and makeup glam, as well as Adorn Boutiques for my wardrobe. Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee is shot on location at Louisa Event Space in Portland. Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee is a Bum Juice Entertainment production in conjunction with Thomas Chung Films, Bloom Beauty Collective, and Allen & Unger Consulting Group. Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee. Watch Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Fox 12 Plus.